Life inspired by poetry.
Let's give it some lip.
Ta-da.
Oh, well, welcome back to another podcast. I'm very grateful. I'm Ginna, and I'm grateful to have TB with me. Hi, TB.
Hello, how are you?
My heart is heavy.
So is mine, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why.
I think there's some things going on in our world that are ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do we get here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we've been here a lot over the
Where's
years.
here? I don't think I know where here is anymore.
Like if you think about the history of time, we come to these moments of inhumanity to one another more often than we probably should.
So I woke up to yet another conflict at which innocent children die.
Yeah.
And what is most troubling for me is the discourse isn't about the children dying.
No.
It's about some ideological divide that
Retaliation and
I don't
revenge.
understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this makes sense. I really don't understand how it makes sense. And we need to reset. We need something different. We need to reset in some way. So I need to be inspired.
Well, poetry can do that for us. And poetry, a lot of times, is brightest in those darkest moments. So if you think back to the history of the world, poetry was really had a strong presence within like world poetry after the First Great War, after World War II.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm seeing that again. So I think there is something in the, I'm just going to continue to call it ugliness, that is happening within our world that is acting as a catalyst for poets to try to spark into that darkness, to remind us of the beauty, to remind us of kindness, to remind us of compassion, to remind us of our humanity.
Yeah.
And trying to get us to open our eyes to where we've gone astray.
Yeah. I think we're definitely off kilter. I think that whatever this is, and I don't know, maybe there's a word that would better describe it than anything that's being used. We call it polarization. We talk about divisiveness, but I'm not sure that's what it is.
Yeah, something deeper.
It's something deeper than that, that lets us forget our humanity.
Yeah.
And that is what's the most troubling thing for me, is it lets us forget our humanity. So I am very saddened that we're here, but I came across something that I've read years ago, and it was for me a reset. It's a different way to think about it.
Yeah.
But also to see how you can see beauty within the ugliness. So it would be great for us to share it.
Let's do it.
Before I read it, it's attributed to Anonymous. I think it was a group of young people between 8 and 12 years old in a concentration camp during World War II. And this was how they saw the world. And I hope I can be half as courageous and half as insightful as to see it this way. So it's called On a Sunny Evening. On a purple sunshot evening, under wide flowering chestnut trees, upon the threshold full of dust, yesterday, today, the days are like these. Trees flower forth in beauty, lovely too their wood, all gnarled and old, that I am half afraid to peer into their crowns of green and gold. The sun has made a veil of gold, so lovely that my body aches. Above the heavens streak with blue, convinced I've smiled by some mistake. The world's bloom and seem to smile. I want to fly, but where, how high? If in barbed wire things can bloom, why couldn't I? I will not die.
Oh, wow. Wow. You feel that the tension in the language choices that are used. So if you think about how it's so beautiful.
It is.
And to think about the position they're in when they're writing this. But sunshot evening goes forth, and it just has gnarled, right? I dare not look. veiled, shriek, the barbed wire. Yeah. So there's these words that normally are associated with something very sinister or eerie.
Yeah, it's camp, right? It's a concentration camp.
Exactly. But what actually comes through is this purple and the flowers and life.
And the gold.
In the midst of, but not, it's not kind of replacing the reality of that hardship. It's just choosing to see the beauty beyond it.
And we don't have to kill ourselves in this place. So yes, we're in a place of ugliness, but we can bloom. We can be part of that flowering environment where good can come of that and beauty can come of that and all the wonderful things we set out to do.
Yeah.
So this gives me a sense of hope that in spite of what I see around, how do I keep that imagery? How do I hold on to that imagery to be part of that?
Could we say that beauty always wins?
Yeah.
In the end?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, I've got to make it. Like, if a group of young people, you know, facing death can see this, why can't we?
Yeah. Open our eyes. It's
why
there.
Can't we?
It's not like it's hidden. It's not like it's gone from our world.
No.
It's just that we've put our focus on other things.
Yeah. And the way we choose to see it, and it gives them a sense of tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
It gives them a sense of there could be a future. Why wouldn't I? I cannot, I will not die.
Yeah.
It gives them it gives them strength.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it is empowering in such dark and devastating circumstances, but to feel that how I choose to see this moment, in spite of being in this place, facing this difficulty, I will not be moved.
The power of positive thinking.
It is.
Even in the darkest and direst of situations.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because if you think about how the world has turned away from resilience, and in a way more to claiming your victimhood.
Yeah.
I'm being very general. I know there are some specific things that are
for an individual
are victims, but there is a sense of offense.
Yeah.
More so than trying to find the humanity beyond the offense.
Yeah. So the parallel for me as I was thinking about this is that we've just gone through the pandemic, and I have yet to hear a description of our experience of the last 2 years as anything but horrible and bleak and doomsday. And on a personal level, I felt that the period, this is not in any way to suggest that people who've lost their lives and who've suffered haven't suffered. But if we all get in that place where we only focus on the suffering, then no good. It's a whirl.
We spiral. We just say and
spiral,
and it goes down and down and down. That's That's what I meant by like focusing only on the negative, on the victimhood, on the oppression.
But you have to see the hope, right? You have to see the sunshot evening. You've got to see the trees. You've got to see the sun. And it's not saying the barbed wire doesn't exist. So whenever we go through, I think as a society, whenever we go through these moments that part of that ugliness that we talk about, we're so clouded or shrouded in the ugliness that we fail to see anything good that can come out of it.
Yeah.
Which means that we can't change. We're stuck there. In this, now, I'm pretty sure that these children would have faced a gas chamber. I'm pretty sure that that might have been the end. But on the way, they still saw the beauty in a world.
That was so
and
harsh.
They captured it in a world that was so harsh. And that becomes the resurgence at the end, right? It gives us something else to hope for.
Yeah.
Because if we just get shrouded in the ugliness and that's all we do, then what's the point?
What's the point? You have to see beyond.
We have to.
Beyond the certain circumstance where you are now.
Yeah.
find something that you can hold on to, that you can see a little sprout, little sign of life beyond whatever it is. That is what keeps you holding on and moving forward. If not, you get stuck in that quagmire and pulled down by the weight of the harshness, the cruelty, the ugliness, whatever it is.
And we seed good and we seed bad. So if we keep seeding bad, we get more of it. If we start seeding good, then we get good.
Yeah.
You know? So how do we as a society understand we have to start seeding good?
Start planting and
we've got to plant something.
Kindness and compassion and joy.
And that starts with us and the conversations that we have is how do we move beyond this point to something better?
That's right. Oh, it's so good. These are things that we need to continue to remind ourselves of and to think about. And it's so amazing that we have these poems from such dark situations that can speak through that and shoot into us a life-affirming idea to be hopeful, to see beyond the circumstance, to know that there's beauty even in that ugliness.
And the thing that is missing from this poem is anger.
I know.
People who deserve to be angry but have chosen another path. And the path is to remind us all about something beyond the circumstance, you know, into a look into the society and the possibilities of what that could be.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's key, that idea of possibility.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you listen to people from the far reaches of different sides politically, wherever you land, you know, the far extreme sides usually don't see a possibility of
well, they drown you.
Coming together.
They drown you in the fact that there is no way out, right?
Exactly. The division is all there is.
Yeah, the division there is all there is. So to tell you that there's a possibility if you met in the middle is just not what they're about, right?
That would be conceding defeat.
Yeah. That correct. So they have to keep us in that place. But we should look for that possibility of what's there. What's there beyond this noise that we hear? And you know, regardless, instead of talking about who to blame, I love this. They don't talk about the war. They don't talk about who's to blame. But in the circumstance, how do you see the very best in that circumstance? And if they're planting a seed of hope for others along the way, then that's good, right? So I think that's what these poets are doing. You know,
planting the seed of hope.
Planting the seed of hope.
Yeah. So makes you kind of think, well, what kind of seeds are you planting?
Yes.
Yeah. That's something for all of us to think about.
I know, but I have to think about it every day. Yeah. It stops me in my tracks.
Every situation, every moment.
Every moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're different moment by moment.
It is.
It's not like day by day. It's moment by moment. And you have to, you know, always be on your guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm predictably me, though. So
Yes. You're predictably you.
I'm predictably me, but I am different in the moment because I have to think about it. In order to be predictably me, I have to think about how I respond.
The moment before the moment you're in right now might have played a role in how you're dealing with
that. It absolutely informs.
And the moments you're thinking of that's going to come later might be like.
And I will tell you, I don't know for others, but the poems that I read that I really love, and they become part of I call them the little men in my head, the discourse of the little men in my head. They're the things that I reflect back on and say, how can I find a little bit of that?
Yeah.
How can I find a little bit of that?
And maybe we just need to be aware of what seeds we are planting.
Yeah.
And if we don't like the seeds we're planting,
plant new ones.
Plant new ones. Change it, baby.
Yeah. So it's like gardening, right?
Yeah.
The weeds in my garden tells me whether or not what I'm planting is working or not working. I'm not a gardener, but I usually look at the weeds and go, the weeds have overrun the tropical plants, are just not working. So therefore, let's try something new, right? So it's kind of like if this is the garden of life, right? Yeah. How do I keep doing that? And it's something like, I just started looking at my garden, like, there's a lot of weeds in there. The weed mat's not working. What do I do? And then suddenly it's like, hey, I've got to try something different.
Yeah.
I'm not planting the same plants again because they're not working.
Nope.
So I've got to try something new. And I think that's what this kind of shapes back to. It's like, let's look at it a different way.
if you feel like your life is weedy.
Yeah, if your life is weedy,
plant something new.
Take out the weed, take out the plants.
Plant something new.
Yeah. So again, you know, I'm always inspired by these words that are articulated by these poets who have some deep thoughts and vivid descriptions of planting the seed for me in the world I want to live in. And I'm reminded that, you know, I've got to sow those seeds too.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for bringing this one to us, especially as where we are right now in our world. Yeah. You know, we need to remind ourselves to see past the chaos, the ugliness, the fighting, the division, plant different seeds and see, like, let's see what kind of world we could create with these positive seeds.
And as we look at the conflict that we faced in our world, what I hope you're able to say is, let's not talk about who's to blame, but is this the life that we want children to have?
That's right.
I think if you start there, it's a totally different conversation,
exactly.
Right? So it's not about who's wrong and who's right. Is this a life that any child, any human being, but you know, it's like kids, like it bothers me that they're brought into this world and things that they're not involved in this conflict, and yet they're the ones who suffer the most. And don't pick sides. They're all kids, right?
And it's just going to perpetuate more hate.
And it will. And it absolutely will. So I hope that what we leave you with is a sense of, as you look at the conflict in the world, that you're reminded of the conditions that people are living through every day. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to play a role in planting seeds that will fruit something different. Because this is not fruiting the right thing at the moment.
This fruit beautiful things.
Fruit something.
Wonderful.
Something.
Well, thank you again, TB. I really appreciate your insights into this and bringing this to us. It's a timely reminder.
Thank you.
Yes, and thank you, everybody, for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed this edition of Life Inspired by Poetry. And we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next time. And be inspired by poetry.
And give it some lip.
Ta-da.